Hey, my name's Chris for the number one support workers advice line. Today I'm going to talk about labeling in the kitchen. So, how to keep things organized, how to keep things fresh, and according to the WH&S sort of principles of looking after kitchens in residential and psychosocial support settings. So you need to have a practical knowledge of what's in a kitchen and move around it. And yeah, orientate yourself with where particular things are, where the spices are, where what's in the pantry. Is it a healthy kitchen? We'll talk about groceries at another sort of session, but is it a yeah, have things been cleaned often? So wherever food is stored needs to be cleaned intermittently, maybe every couple of months, and certainly needs to be checked for pests and sort of residue. The skin might have come off the onions and is sort of gathering down the back of the cupboard. Yeah, any wet, if there's any mold or anything like this where sort of food is kept. Yeah, so every couple of months, do a deep dive in the cupboards, get to the back of each, and you can use some spray or some eucalyptus spray or some vinegar, some diluted vinegar to wipe down in there with some rags. That's a nice one that I use, and really get down and just have an afternoon of that. That's fairly busy work. So yeah, and that's a good way to orientate yourself with the kitchen. Unload, exactly, you're all over it once you've cleaned and reorganised some of the cupboards, tidied the cupboards. Mm. So using different chopping boards and just being mindful of using a clean chopping board and making sure that they're been rinsed after using blood on it. Detergent and hot water is really good for cleaning off it, but making sure it's done more or less straight away as soon as you've had any blood or contaminant on a chopping board. Then just wash it off in hot water with detergent. That's always a good one. And make sure your knives are, be careful with your knives. You want to make sure that they're appropriate for the setting and the clients that are there. Also, you can get those sharpened and make them more effective. So take them to the local knife sharpener. There might be one at a boot maker or something nearby. Boot fixer, key cutter, or whatever. The services that sharpen your knives, and just to make it, make sure you keep your products updated in the kitchen. So you don't want your knives to go blunt. You want some good quality crockery. You want good quality cutlery. You want to make sure that's all up to date and is nice and presentable. No chips, and any cracks you just throw them straight out and replace. Just making sure that your kitchen and its utensils are fully functioning. The cleaning of the kitchen, just making sure that you can wipe the benches down intermittently with some sort of solution. That's always a good practice to get into. I like to keep mine fairly clear. Things like that. Sort of dusting the toaster, making sure that that remains clean most of the time. Microwaves, wiping out the microwave you got to check the microwave because they have lots of explosions in there, and that might need to be cleaned often. Again, just some spray, some vinegar or whatever. Staying on top of that though is really important. To get in the corners and like in between little plastic bits and maybe around the hot plate, you can get a wooden skewer, and you can just sort of run that along, and that sort of gets rid of grime and any stuff that might have lapped up against any sort of surface, any sort of change in surface. Wooden skewers are really good for that, and a little bit of spray to get down into the grime there. So you want to have a list. So when things are open, you want to have a sticker on them saying it was open on this date, um, and an understanding and a culture amongst your team and your work colleagues that that's how food is treated in residential and psychosocial support settings. Need to keep track of when food was opened, and yeah, if it looks off or smells even a bit off, it goes in the bin. Being mindful that grocery shopping, groceries need to go straight into the fridge. The client won't do it. And there is room for lots of organising and menu planning for residential settings. You can consult with the clients and come up with lists. I've seen some fairly impressive lists that are just tick lists, or you put a little tally next to each, and it's a good thing to do is mapping out the local supermarket to the place where you're going to do most of your shopping, and you map it out according to the shopping list. So you might start with the veggie section, and then you'll go around to cereals, then you'll go around to coffee and etc., and then get all the way over to laundry detergent. Tick it off and tally it off as you go, and revisiting the same place is what most people do. Having a little bit of variety though is a good thing, especially if there's a food outlet which the clients like, coffee, things like this at a shopping centre. Make that a bit of an outing. Of course, clients have to be along for every. It should be along for every sort of session. It's an opportunity to get out and about and do normal everyday things. And part of our job is to getting them in shape to do these, to carry out these activities of daily living, which include shopping and putting the groceries away, making sure the benches, the kitchen's tidy, ready to receive all the groceries, and also portion sizes, like making getting freezer bags and making portion sizes and planning around that. That's a very important thing. Yeah. So food prep as well. So chopping boards. There are color coded chopping boards. Red for meat. There's green for uh, vegetables. Yellow for chicken. I think that's right. Anyway, so these are the chopping boards that you use on an individual. They're just those color coded ones. They're the preferred sort of method when you've got many people working in the same kitchen. So make sure that you've got those on hand, and just doing things with the client. So working alongside with the client, inviting them into the kitchen, and reaching them at whatever capacity they can be in the kitchen, helping them with manipulation of tools and gathering articles in the kitchen space, setting up a space so that they can do their food prep and work and contribute to the meal and the kitchen process. All aspects of from food prep to cleaning should include the client, ideally. And if that's not happening, then all goals should point to that happening one day down the track. Yep. Getting buy-in from the client, getting buy-in as to why it's a good thing to do your dishes and to be in the kitchen and create your own meals, and the creativity that is available around cooking. And some people find they're really good at it. Talking that up, you can have multimedia in the background. If you've got iPads, you can have YouTubes describing how to make the meal that you've got. You can really spice it up and try something from a different culture and just research the ingredients and things like that. YouTube is amazing. I'd recommend getting a setup in the kitchen with a stand and an iPad or a large phone, and you can watch videos and sort of do it like that. Yep. So researching and maybe even writing out your own recipes and trying new things out is a really awesome practice to get into in residential settings. Um, Yeah, so making sure everybody washes their hands and limits their breathing over or near food, open bowls, open articles. So really limiting that and making sure that that's a respectful, ongoing discussion with the client. We're mindful that we've got our heads back. A mask mandate for people who do have spittle or tend to have a lot of fluid in their breathing or mouth or cough without warning. I think masks are a good solution and an adequate solution for that. So washing our hands, and there's the washing hands procedure. The singing the happy birthday, or however you want to time it, the length of happy birthday, washing your hands, washing in between, washing over the top, washing your thumbs, all to the timeline of happy birthday apparently, and then making sure that they're dry. And flick them off and maybe dry them on a nice clean tea towel. Have all those sort of things on hand. The soap, the liquid soap if you need that. Um, some method to dry your hands afterward with a towel or whatever. Labeling food in the fridge. So having little stickers next to the little paper stickers with a pen at ready nearby the fridge, so that when things are opened, we can label it when it was opened, or used by, or cooked on. These sort of labels should be found on each individual article in the fridge. Besides your really robust things like sauces and the everyday sort those things that are a bit more robust, we could probably get away with that. But we're talking about meat, raw meat packages. Sort of when the butter was opened, when the jam was opened, is okay too. When that was open. So and having a look through the fridge all the time, like being constantly aware that needs to be assessed and thrown out if these foodstuffs going off. You can harvest jars and things. Maybe put them in a collection to get rid of at a later date. So a general rule of thumb is to throw away like after 24, if it's just been cooked and then goes straight in the fridge, about 24 hours afterward would be ideal to throw out. If it's unless it's a bolognese, and it's sort of, you can sit it in there for 36 to 48 hours. That's my rule of thumb. As long as it stays in the fridge and you sort of spoon it out and put it straight back in the fridge, that sort of thing. So when we get back from the groceries and we made the portions up of the meat, chop into the packaging and make portions, and then put them in the freezer bag, and then put them in the freezer in an orderly fashion. That's one thing to sort of keep portion sizes down, and to make sure that help with the organisation and logistics on the night. A good common practice is for the person on in the morning to take out what's needed for the night or when they come on shift, and then if they're on a little bit earlier, then they can put that aside and let it thaw out in anticipation for the evening meal. Generally, you can smell an issue in a place if something's gone off, or if a bench is not that in hygienic. You can find these via smell. These are all good ways to detect that something is not right. Also in cupboards, watch out for potatoes in the back of cupboards. They can go pretty funky very quickly. And watching for foodstuffs falling behind stoves or in between cupboards and on the floor and things like this. We need to watch out for and just be aware. To retrieve that as we're cooking. You can have wipes on hand, or some organic solution such as eucalyptus or vinegar is decent on the side as well. Watch out for pests. So you're watching out for cockroaches or any other little bugs that might rock up or rodents. Just keep an eye out for those and address according to packaging. Go and ask for advice at the handyman store. Run it by your team leader and let them know that that's present in the house. And they'll have some ideas. Okay, so that's about it for me. And just to make sure that the floor is clean on the kitchen when you after every use, that's a really good practice to get into. Either sweeping it and then giving it a little wash or a wipe down just where it needs to with a rag. All right, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed that one. Yep, plenty more to come. Thanks so much. Bye.